photo and video pros in the stands and watching at home. Get ready, because tonight it's business time. We're talking marketing and pricing and how on earth you manage those clients from hell. From mini sessions to the big leagues of the corporate world, calling the plays, breaking down the tactics, your coach, your host. Here he is, Daryl Stringer.
What would make your business so much better? We'll have a chat about things you can do as a photo or video business owner to build a better business. We're also going to have an open mic Q&A where you can call in and talk to me live, or you can just drop a comment if you'd prefer. And you can ask me any business questions you have, but maybe we'll keep it on this theme of my business would be so much better if I could, whatever it is for you. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Daryl Stringer. My background is that I ran a photography business for 17 years, and for the past 11 years, I've been a photo and video business coach where I help amazing people build strong, viable businesses, and that's what I want to help you with today. If you're watching this later on, this is a live show, so it might look a little less than 100% polished. There's a lot of stuff going on, but this show is 100% authentic and real, and hopefully it helps you build your business. All right, to get things started, let's kick off with...
It's time for open mic Q&A. Drop a comment or call me live today.
So what this is an open mic question and answer time where you can call in and ask me any business-related questions that you have. You're welcome to leave a comment on whatever platform you're on right now, but if you're joining me live, you can call in like an old radio show or like a TV interview. I've got a link there. It's buildaphotographybusiness.com/live. If you go there, you can click on the link. You can talk to me here in the studio. You can go with your webcam on or off. It's whatever works for you. So feel free to jump on there. We'll have a chat if you like, but if you do just want to leave a comment, you can totally do that as well. So let me just have a quick check here, having a look, making sure no one's in there just yet. No, not seeing anyone there just yet. Okay, so jumping on. And just very quickly, if you would like to talk with me about business coaching and just see if it's a good fit for you, feel free to schedule a Zoom call with me, or you're welcome to send me an email or a DM. So while I'm waiting to see if anyone would like to chat today, I'd just like to share some comments maybe that represent kind of what I hear from photographers and videographers all the time, and they're all on this theme of my business would be so much better if I could. So let's go and have a look at some of these. And again, this is just reflective of kind of what I typically hear. But if you've got, your own questions, just jump on in, drop a comment. You can go to that, come into the studio as well if you like. Totally up to you. Let me have a look here. So let me go this one. So business would be better if I could get clients through something other than word of mouth, as there just aren't enough of referrals coming in. Look, I do hear that a lot. A lot of businesses are built off the back of basically purely word of mouth. My thoughts there are, if that's all that's sort of being done for you, if that's like the only way that you're getting clients, I'd be then having a really careful look at whether your business just needs to generate more attention. And if you're not generating enough attention, then you just need to find a way to be far more visible amongst your ideal clients. So I guess my question for you then would be, what are you doing to earn the attention of your ideal clients, of your potential clients? Be more proactive with that. Be super visible, whether that's online, whether that's offline, whatever it looks like within your market. Focus on your visibility. So maybe one way to do that would be just through doing actually social media posts. I see a lot of photographers. I go and have a look at a lot of Instagram accounts each day, and so many photographers just haven't posted anything there. They're not like frequent enough with their posts. Or beyond even social media, look at what you could be doing with emails and cold calling, or depending, again, running ads, be more visible. That's going to help you. If you can do that quite intentionally, look at the best way that it might work that way, plan it out, put some thought into it. Don't just like throw stuff out there, but be really careful and intentional about what you can do to increase your visibility, generate the attention, earn that attention, and have more people actually finding out about you. Let me just look in here. Okay, next comment. Let's have a look here. I'd love it if I could better manage my time and editing so I'm not working late every single night. First of all, look, hand it off to someone else. Well, okay, actually, I guess you really have two options here. Hand it off to someone else or do it yourself, but make sure you're charging enough so that you can do that editing during business hours and you're not working until crazy hours all night just to get everything through. So typically, so let's just say like if you wanted to do it all yourself, what would you need to charge then? Maybe you get back from a shoot, it's 4 p.m. Maybe you get some of it done from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then stop. You actually enjoy your evenings at home, get back into work again the next morning and maybe spend another, let's say it's 3 or 4 hours. It's a big job to do that editing. Then what would you then need to charge your client to cover that cost? That's what you would need to charge. You might need to change your pricing to reflect that. The other option is to just outsource it and just be comfortable with the work that comes in. I had a photographer say that they needed to do all of the editing themselves, or at least they would send it off to the editor and then it would come back in and then they would just need to tweak everything that came back because they weren't quite happy with the work that was coming in. What I suggested to them is, well, maybe you just start sending out the photos as you get them back from the editor and see if your clients actually notice the difference. Because sometimes what we do as photographers is we can see all those little changes in color temperature and color casts and all those little things that maybe your clients don't quite notice. So maybe it's just a matter of just putting things out to your clients and just carefully monitor what kind of feedback you get in, because it may be a lot less than you expect. Just checking in. Okay, next comment that I see is, I'd like to get past the fear of reaching out to my ideal clients and hearing no. I've had too many rejections, so I do nothing. Okay. First of all, reaching out to potential clients, it's a numbers game. So if you're getting a lot of no's, maybe getting a lot of no's, maybe you've had 10, I don't know, like depending on what your numbers are, but it's a numbers game. So reach out to more people. That's definitely going to help. Number two would be, maybe it's just looking at your offer. So maybe what you're putting out and what they're saying no to is maybe just the offer that they're getting, like what you're presenting to them just isn't compelling enough. Maybe it doesn't sell them on it. So I'd be having a careful look at your offer and just seeing if you can tighten that up. Number three then is, maybe are you presenting your offer to cold prospects or are they warm prospects? So sometimes we send emails out and things to people who have never heard of you before. And so maybe that's why they're saying no, is just because there's just no familiarity, there's no trust there. So maybe you need to warm up those prospects first before you start sending out your offers, just to get them familiar with you. So that's not like they get this email and it's like, well, I don't know who this photographer is. Why would I want to trust my business or anything with them? Maybe they just need to get to know you first. Just checking again, seeing what we've got. Okay, nothing there. So let me just go back on to the next one. I wish I had a repeatable client experience so I'm not reinventing the wheel every shoot. What would I say here? Start writing things down and put down really thorough SOPs, some standard operating procedures, and get those written down as maybe like a checklist and templates. Look at what you can do in advance so that you're not getting to a stage that you're doing over and over again, and you are needing to rewrite the instructions for your client or whatever process it is that you're going through. Start to prepare those things so that it's repeatable. It's like, you know, when you go to McDonald's there and you order a Big Mac, they're not starting fresh. They're not trying to figure out, well, how are we going to do this? What's our timing going to be for that patty on the, you know, they've got everything very systematized. And maybe that's what you need to do, is to look at, okay, each step of the way through, it's, you know, you take your order from the client, and then we do this, and then this, and this, all the way through until you complete the delivery of what it is that they've booked you for. So it's working on that process of how can you pre-do as much as possible in terms of checklists or templates or whatever it is that you need to do, so that you're not starting from scratch every single time. Another comment that I frequently hear from people is something like this: my business would be better if I could raise my prices, but I think I'd lose all of my regular clients if I did. I feel kind of stuck right now. Okay, common one from a lot of photographers that I talk with when they get into, I would like to raise my prices, there's a lot of fear there. So first of all, I would say, one, you need to know your numbers to know if your business is viable. Maybe that means you need to raise your prices. Maybe it doesn't, but until you know your viable numbers to make sure that you're actually profitable on every shoot or every deliverable, then it's hard to know like what else you can be doing there. Because if you're not viable, then there's probably no future then for your business anyway. Your pricing has to be high enough that you cover your costs, you cover your time, you cover the value that you deliver. Number two then is, if you are viable, do you still want to raise your prices because you feel like you're too cheap and you don't love the work that you do at those particular rates? If that's the case, maybe you need to either continue at those rates and you just don't enjoy the work that you're doing, or you raise your prices so that you do start to love the work that you do. And maybe that means you lose some of your clients, but then you need to think through, well, would I rather continue doing work far too cheap where I just don't love it at all? Or do you take a chance and you raise your rates and you start to do it at a point where you're really happy with the prices that you're charging, you love the work that you do, and that can bring just a lot more enjoyment and satisfaction to you, both from a business perspective and perhaps from a creative perspective as well. So it's just weighing that up. Do you continue where you are now at those rates where you're unhappy with what you're charging, or do you raise them and give it a chance? Maybe you do lose some clients, maybe you lose lots of clients, but is it better to give it a chance at that and see what happens and do what you love at the price you love? I think it is. I'd give it a try. All right, let me just check in on comments here. Okay, not seeing anything there. Let me just check in on people. No, not seeing any people. So let me just go back. One more common comment that I get. My business would improve if I could delegate and trust someone else with admin and marketing tasks, but I'm a perfectionist, so I need to do everything myself. Okay. One, I would build the systems and build the SOP so anyone can do it. So if you feel like you need to do everything, probably not. Probably it's just a matter of you're the only one who knows how to do it. And if you were to properly put things down in writing and have it super, super clear, so you can hand that process off to anyone, they can then follow through. When it's just admin and marketing, it's really just going, okay, point by point, here are the steps that we do in terms of how we like to do it. Here's the tone we use. Here are the templates for the messages that we send out as a company. And maybe you write all of those and then you can pass it off to someone else. I think the second thing here is, I noticed that the comment here said, but I'm a perfectionist. I think I would acknowledge that perfectionism is is maybe part of the problem here. It's not really something that we want to celebrate here because it's really holding you back. Trying to feel that you have to do things perfectly as you perceive them to be, because your version of perfectionism is different to probably everyone else's version of perfectionism. That's going to be something just that you just need to work through and just get comfortable with saying, okay, well, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough for the client, but maybe it doesn't need to be your version of perfect. And then number 3 would be just to hand it over to someone else and then track the feedback from your clients. They might find that their way of doing admin, maybe they're really happy with it. You won't know, I guess, until you really give it a try. So if you can set up an admin team member with really good instructions and clarity around, okay, here's the process that you like to do it, and then leave it off with them, let them handle it, and then see what happens. Okay, let me just see again, if anyone has any further comments or questions, please drop them in. So what we're looking for here is, as I just click to the right screen, my business would be so much better if I could. So what would make your business better? Is it around, I've touched on a few things there around marketing and pricing and business admins and so forth. Maybe you've got some of your own other questions related to those or extending those. Feel free to drop any comments in here. Let me just have a look here. I have got one comment from someone on Instagram. Hello, what are the different ways you prospect customers? How you convert the prospects' leads into buying customers? What are the different ways you prospect customers? So first of all, it would depend on who is your target market. What's your industry? It'd probably be helpful to sort of know that and what that could possibly be. Let me just click here. Sorry, take that away. There we go. And then how do you convert prospects leads into buying customers? So first of all, what you do there, again, it depends on what industry you're in, but basically people need to learn to trust you and to be comfortable with hiring you. I mean, obviously there can be pricing factors. So if you come in really, really cheap, they'll go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. They'll just give you a try. What you need to do then is how can you then convert them from not being familiar with you to trusting you? What would it look like within the industries that you work in to, I guess, build upon that trust issue? How can they go and look at your business and go, yes, that's the one that I want to work with. They clearly know what they're doing. They clearly have expertise in what they're looking for. Maybe it's sharing things like testimonials. If we all go and buy something like from Amazon or anywhere, we're looking at the reviews. So it's basically bringing in like what are effectively the reviews of your business. And that can be testimonials, that could be actual reviews on Google, business profile or something like that. Okay, so just follow-up comment. There's this photographer says, I'm in the real estate media business. So yeah, look, so we're working B2B. So it's a matter of then convincing those agents that you want to be working with that you are a good, reliable choice. Okay, they've got a lot of money resting on those photos. They're working with a client who's selling a hugely expensive asset, a property. They need to be able to trust you. So how can they learn to trust you? That's what I would be leaning into in terms of that follow-up and the communication. Lean into that in terms of the content that you're putting out on Instagram and Facebook so that they can see, yes, this is a company that knows what they're doing. They can deliver. They have delivered already for others in my market. They need to learn to trust you. So what is it that you could possibly do to get them to trust you so that they go, yeah, I think you're a good choice. So then once they learn to trust you, that's when we get to that offer stage. So going back to that comment that I shared earlier from someone saying they get a lot of ideal clients saying no. Again, that's where I go back to that whole piece around, do they trust you or not? If they're hearing from you for the very first time, they're probably going to say no, just because there's no trust established there between both parties. Once you can build in some of that trust through content, through messaging, through meetings with them, like trying to get face-to-face with someone, that can definitely help establish a little bit more of that trust there. Let me just look again if there's any more comments here. Not here. Has anyone jumped in? No, nothing backstage yet. So look, if anyone does have any more questions or comments, I'm just sort of checking around different spots just to see where people might have dropped something. I'm happy to have a bit of a chat about that. If you're watching this later on, feel free to drop a comment in then, and I'll be checking in on the social media channels just to see what people have had to say. But yeah, look, when it comes to marketing, this is a really common challenge that a lot of photographers face. How do you get more clients? Again, depending on your situation and who your ideal market is, it's working on why should they hire you? Like, of all of the choices that they have, including taking their own photos and video, right? Because everyone has a phone in their pocket now. Aside from doing it themselves or choosing someone else, why should they choose you? So just on that, okay, good question. Someone asked on Instagram, what are any trust building tools for photography business? I'm thinking website, portfolio, social media. Yeah, look, definitely all of those. But I guess it's then thinking through, like, what is it that you're then posting on social media that can build trust? If all you're doing maybe is just showing portfolio shots of work that you've done, I mean, that's great. That shows that you can actually take a good photo, but what else are you doing beyond that to build trust? Why should they listen to you around that? I mean, are you showing your own levels of expertise in what you're doing? Are you putting up maybe videos of yourself like this one that I'm doing now, where you're talking to your potential audience around matters that concern them? How are you showing your knowledge? How are you showing your experience through that? And then I would then go into, like, on your website, what does that communicate as well? Is your website just basically a portfolio of images, or does it go further than that to actually communicate the value that you deliver, your experience, why they should hire you? What kind of language are you using there? Are you using much text at all on websites, on your website, or are you basically just relying on your still photos and your videos and your Matterport tours and things like that? Leaning into, I guess, the communication of why they should hire you, why should they trust you, would be where I would go with that. You mentioned your portfolio. Yes, that needs to be there as well. I've seen some photographers say, look, I'll come and do walkthrough video tours of homes, but then they don't have that example on their website or in any of their social media content. They're kind of thinking, oh, I'll just make it up. When you get there, like, look at making sure that you've got good content in your portfolio. Absolutely. But usually the difference between, a company that is struggling and one that's doing super, super well, it comes down to whether they trust you or not, and whether they believe that, you're a good choice to be working with. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Does anyone have any other follow-up comments? Again, I'm just checking in to see if anyone has anything here. Nothing in here, so I'm just checking around. Okay. Nope, not seeing anything else there just yet. So look, I think that's it for now, but if anyone does have any follow-up comments later on, feel free to drop those in later. But let me just finish off here. We'll go to this one. So that's it then for today's episode of the Builder Photography Business Show. I hope you got something out of that. I hope to see you here at the same time next week. All right, bye for now.